പ്രേക്ഷകർ കാത്തിരിക്കുന്ന ആ അഭിമുഖത്തിലേക്ക് ഗവർണർ രാജ്ഭവനിൽ തയ്യാറായിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ എഡിറ്റർ പ്രദീപ് പിള്ള നടന്ന അഭിമുഖത്തിലേക്ക്.
നമസ്കാരം. രാജ്ഭവന്റെ ചില്ലുമേടയിൽ ഒതുങ്ങിയിരിക്കാതെ ജനങ്ങളിലേക്ക് ഇറങ്ങി ചെല്ലുന്ന, നിലപാടുകൾ ഉറക്കെ പറയുന്ന, മുന്നിൽ കൊണ്ടുവരുന്ന കടലാസുകളിലെല്ലാം ഒപ്പുവെക്കാനല്ല ഞാനിവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്നതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് കേരള ഗവർണർ ആരിഫ് മുഹമ്മദ് ഖാൻ തന്റെ ഗവർണർ പദവിയുടെ 3ാം വർഷത്തിലേക്ക് കടക്കുകയാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മോടൊപ്പം അദ്ദേഹം ചേരുകയാണ് രാജ്ഭവനിൽ നിന്ന്. സർ, നമസ്കാരം.
നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you very much for finding time to talk to us.
Thank you.
From Aligarh Muslim University to universities in Kerala.
Yes.
You have been Honorary Secretary and President of Aligarh Muslim University in 72-73 and then 73-74. Almost 4 decades later, you are right in the middle of activities and affairs of universities in Kerala, right from Kannur to Kerala University. What do you have to say about the affairs, the state of affairs?
You know, I am totally convinced, and it is not just my belief. I have been articulating it since long time, more so since I assumed the role of the Chancellor in Kerala, but even earlier I knew that like every individual, every society, every country and nation has also its genius, something very distinctive about it, which determines its identity. India's identity has always been promotion of education and wisdom. Since the times when the countries which are described today as developed countries, their renaissance had not started. The Arab historians in 10th and 11th century, when Middle East was rife with academic activities, and which is called the golden period, not the period of military conquest, but the period when they were translating Indian Sanskrit text into Arabic and the Latin and the Greek text into Arabic, that is known as the golden period. The historians of that, first historian, Arab historian, Tabri, and later Ibn Asir, Ibn Kasir, Ibn Khaldun, everybody has written that there are only 5 civilizations in the world. The Iranian civilization is known for its majesty, splendor. Romans for their beauty and chivalry. Chinese for their craftsmanship and obedience to the rulers. Turks for their bravery. And India is the only civilization which is known for promotion of knowledge and wisdom. I firmly believe that unless we ourselves are convinced that this is our real genius, and we need to. Why I have this fascination for Kerala? I love Kerala. Why? Because when I was a young student and I went to participate in an intervarsity meet on the occasion of the birth centenary of Mahatma Gandhi in 1969 to Almora, the venue of that intervarsity meet was a college. Naturally, the principal of that college was the chairman of the reception committee, and people from all over India, they participated in that varsity meet. There, this principal, in his welcome speech, he said, I can say with pride that Almora is the only district of UP which compares favorably with Kerala. And that is the day when Kerala, you know, my mind conjured up images of Kerala society where the masses are educated. I still feel that the education system in Kerala, particularly the school education, even Niti Aayog admits, it is one of the best in the country. But the status of the universities is worrisome not only for me. Professor C.N.R. Rao, the topmost scientist of the country, he wrote a letter to my predecessor. The letter is with me. He says that it is such a surprise that a state which has such a robust school system, the bright students who are produced by these schools, they do not want to stay in Kerala. They migrate to other states. Professor Panikar in his article has lamented the same fact. There are so many other people. The recent example, the Indian students who were forced to come back from Ukraine, the highest number was that of Kerala students. Kerala, there is, as far as people are concerned, they realize the value of education. And if we look back at our cultural history or heritage, the Indian thought leaders, they had visualized, they had envisioned an India which will have teachers of such eminence and erudition that they will attract students from all over the world, and these students will come to India not to learn about India, to learn about their own culture. Etad desha parshu tasya sakashad agraj anmana swam charitram shikcheram prithviyam sarvam anava. And the Indian brilliance, Indian erudition, Indian learning, Indian wisdom, we will have such teachers where people from all over the world will be attracted to come to India and pursue knowledge. They will study their own culture through Indian teachers. That is what I want India. In fact, I have been repeatedly saying, I'm a member of the National Committee on this Amrit Kal, and I am there emphasizing with all strength, I believe in the argument of power. I believe I do not believe in the argument of power. I believe in the power of argument. I believe in the power of argument. Therefore, I am doing my best to make people realize that even what Swami Vivekananda has said, that purpose of life is not pursuit of happiness. It is pursuit of knowledge. And what is the pursuit of knowledge? To find unity amidst diversity. So even that thing can be realized only when we become again a storehouse of knowledge.
Now, you are convinced that the present state of affairs, as you have told repeatedly many times, is due to politicization of the administration of the universities and political interference?
I will give you, don't ask me why I should use my own words. In last 1 or 2 years' time, not in one university, more than one university, examination papers of the last year, they have been repeated. Instead of examination paper, answer books were supplied to these students. The systems failed, and 3 years later, the university is asking me to give them permission to withdraw the degree. I said, what fault they had? So now we are faced with all these problems. There are allegations of favoritism, of nepotism, so many allegations. Yet, when the government decides to bring a bill into the House, it deals only with the appointment of the Vice Chancellor. It does not deal with any of the academic problems which university faces. Here, the real problem is, we are not interested in raising the academic levels. We are interested in having Vice Chancellors who are so pliable that they will appoint, and I am making it plain and clear, so that they can be used to appoint various positions in the university, not just academic, various positions in the university, some relative of this powerful man, some relative of this powerful man. Well, universities are not meant for that. I met this group of students in Delhi, Kerala students who are in Delhi, and I asked them that you are so bright and you are studying in the National Institute, why don't you come back to Kerala? They said, sir, if nothing else, one simple factor, you find the solution. If we get admission into a course of 5 years duration, there is no way we can complete it in less than 6.5 years. So if for nothing else, at least to save 1.5 years, we migrate from Kerala to other places. So much violence in the campuses, so much political leaders using constituency. I mean, I have no problem. I am not against politics. I am not against that. But I told these student leaders who came here to meet me, I said, instead of being pawn in the hands of the political leaders, you should be in a position where you can influence the policies and the policy. I am not against political awareness. They have every right. In fact, I suggested, and I don't want to name anybody, but I suggested at the highest level. I suggested to the leader of opposition. I said, by all means, create units in the universities, but give them a roadmap. In 1 year time, you will organize so many debates.
Right.
In 1 year time, you will organize so many essay contests, so many elocution contests. It is no more there, but in Aligarh till my time, only a candidate who has gold medal, either academic gold medal or we organize used to organize, that thing is still there but it is not being done, very prestigious debate competition, essay writing competition, and there were series of debates, 6 judges. Only when you secured more than 66% marks, you were entitled to receive the gold medal in the convocation, not in an ordinary function, in the convocation. I was so keen because I had this political bug in me. So I was keen that I'm going to fight the election. So in the first year itself, when I was a student of not in the university I went after high school. Okay. It was a central university, therefore they used to have, the central universities used to have pre-university.
Right.
And then, so it was not my first year in Aligarh, then I did pre-medical, then because my age was short, I could not appear in the competitive test. Then with permission of my father, my family, I shifted to the liberal arts side. I won the gold medal when I was a student of BA first year.
Okay.
Why? Because I'm not praising myself, no. I was keen because I wanted to fight the election. So in order to fight the election, I had to establish my academic credentials. I won, in the first year, I won essay writing contest and later other medals. So I suggested at the highest level, I said, establish these conventions. Form your youth wings or student wing there, but give them a roadmap. Don't use them just for raising slogans, Zindabad, Murdabad, for this leader or that leader, but you must help them to have a platform where they can develop their personality. They can develop their communication skills. Unfortunately, nobody listens.
Now, it has been described, rather cliched though, that it has been a love-hate relationship between Kerala governor and Kerala government. When the principal opposition party, the UDF and the BJP were criticizing the first Pinarayi government about the way they were handling the COVID situation, you were the one who stood out by praising it, praising the health minister, supporting her activities and said, no, government and the health minister are in the right path. Somewhere again it went wrong. During the CAA agitations and the special assembly session, and the resolution
No,
that you
CA
moved
came
to.
first.
CA came first. In
COVID
spite of that, you had
so that only proves one thing, that there is, I decide things on merit.
on CA you said your very clear opinion that you
Not
you
just
cannot-
no, CA you should look like this. I am representing the President of India in Kerala. I have taken an oath to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution and the law. A law which has been signed by a bill which has been signed by Honorable President, and it has become law. If I differ with it, I should resign. Otherwise, what is my duty? To toe the line of the state government or to toe the line of some political parties? No. I have earlier, my record is clear that if I have a different viewpoint, then I will resign from the government. Even today I feel there was no occasion for me to differ with that. And in fact, I have pleaded with lot of people that the hated people in Kerala do not realize the impact of partition and how it has distorted our mindsets in northern India.
Right.
I have pleaded with folded hands with so many people. Please realize, your first concern should be how to root out this bad blood, how to root out this hatred. These people who were left behind in Pakistan, they were also freedom fighters. They were also contributing. And now their status has become, after 1956, when they declared Pakistan to be an Islamic state, their status became worse than their status during British time. What crime they have committed? I pleaded with them with the folded hands. Please realize this situation. This is an occasion when, by expressing sympathy for them and recognizing the right which was promised to them by Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Maulana Azad, Sardar Patel, every leader, senior leader had promised to them. You are not at fault. It was our failure to stop the partition of the country. You are, as a consequence of that, you may suffer, you are suffering, you may suffer in the future. It will be your right to come to India whenever you decide. And this is not an assurance which I had given. This is an assurance which was given by Mahatma Gandhi, by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So I pleaded with folded hands with people. This is the time when you can work to root out that bad blood, that hatred, which had come as a result of the partition, by expressing sympathy for these people. As far as others are concerned, as this bill recognizes their right, but it does not prevent the government from giving citizenship to those, to others, say some Muslims from Pakistan. They don't want to stay there. This act does not prevent the government to consider their application on merit. And exactly when the CA controversy was on, two very prominent, maybe more, but two very prominent Muslims from Pakistan, they were given citizenship. So it does not prevent the government. The normal provisions are there. This is only to put into law the assurance which was given to them by the leaders of the freedom movement, our national fathers. Please try to understand. But here, I have a different take on this subject. Here, and I warned these leaders, senior leaders, when they came to me. I said, you are displaying the same attitude which was displayed by Shri Rajiv Gandhi in 1986. Where you think that by catering to the sentiments of a section of the society, you will win some political points. But it created such a backlash in northern India that after that, after Shah Banu, the whole politics of northern India changed. Here you can see even other evidence. Kerala is a state which has this history of being matrilineal society.
Yes.
Women, I feel so happy when I see ordinary women, the confidence which they display, the manner in which they walk on the road, they don't feel insecure. And in a state like Kerala, a young girl, meritorious girl, she has secured some position in the state. She is called onto the stage to receive her award. These students were being honored. And one cleric stands up, he humiliates her publicly, he creates a scene on the stage. If you offend the modesty of a woman or bring her to disrepute, there are 18 laws in our country to protect the women. And nobody even spoke a word against it. I waited for 3 days. Deliberately I waited for 3 days. I wanted to see the reaction of the political leaders. And third day, I decided, now I will speak about it. Then only some ministers spoke, some other leaders spoke. You are not concerned about the protection of women? Her only fault that she was born to Muslim parents? She is a meritorious girl, and you are insulting her publicly, and you don't think of invoking any of these 18 laws to book this man who has indulged in this indecent and illegal behavior publicly. So actually it is not so much the criticism of the CA. Everybody is welcome, but it is that attitude which bothers me. And I fear that this attitude might create the same kind of backlash which was created in 1986 in northern India. I am more worried about that.
Post all these differences of opinion, then again we saw a lot
and
of...
then COVID came, as you rightly said.
Yes.
If I had...
the entire opposition was criticizing, even BJP was criticizing, that's when you came
If
out.
I had any prejudice or bias against the government, why I will praise them so openly and so loudly? And even today, if you ask me, I will praise whatever teacher, Shrimati Shelja teacher did as health minister. I will still praise that.
Now it has come to a state where it seems it's almost an open war. In the space of 1 week, the state secretary of the CPM, Sri Kuriyeri Balakrishnan, has written 2 articles in Deshabhimani. Direct allegations that you are part of a conspiracy to bring down the state government, number 1. Number 2, you're being a tool in the hands of the BJP as well as the Modi administration. 4, you are trying to saffronize the universities because BJP could not make a major headway in terms of state electoral politics. So it has become totally political.
It is up to them. I am not making any kind. If they are writing, they only can reply to this situation. My concern is that if non-saffronization or preventing saffronization means that you appoint teachers in the universities who are not even qualified to be summoned for the interview, and you surpass those. I do not know if the man who secured 600, if at all anybody is going to benefit from, if it happens. I do not know, because so far we do not. But I have stayed the appointment. It is right. But finally, if my action is proved to be right, after, because it is only a stay, it has not been annulled. I will hear both the sides. I will hold proper hearing on that. And when final outcome comes, and that is in accordance with the, if it is, I am not saying it can be, because how do I know? It will be only after examining the records in detail if it is found, prima facie, what has led me to stay the appointment. Prima facie appears that the allegation is right.
Okay.
And if finally it is proved it is right, who is going to benefit? The man who had, this candidate who was, they were proposing to appoint, she had 154 marks in the ranking. She had
The research score.
She had not research score. She did not have the required teaching experience. And who will benefit from this? The man who had secured 641 marks. And his research and his publications are more than double. But he has been given low marks
In the interview.
in the interview. Even on that score, research, he has been given 7 with so many publications, and the one who has only few publications has been given 6 marks. And in other things, this candidate has been given much more than was given to others. A candidate with 340 research, what you said?
Research score.
Research score, who had 340 research, he was given only 3 or 4 marks. So if this irregularity or this illegality comes to an end, who will benefit? Some BJP member? Who will benefit? The man who has secured 641 is not choice of the BJP. And they have seen, people know, when appointment for the Calicut University, you just refer to your own stories and see the papers, that how many stories were published from Delhi, from BJP, from RSS. The pressure is to appoint this person. Was that person appointed? I ask you. Be fair in assessment. And not 1 or 2 stories, because that matter remained pending for about 2 months. Was that person appointed? No. I cannot, I welcome criticism. Why? Because if criticism is fair, then it will give me an opportunity to mend my ways. I welcome, as dissent is the essence of democracy, I welcome. But if the criticism is totally unfair, and these, just imagine, if I had not stayed, if I had not constituted, I am under constitution or under obligation, it is my duty, that I should constitute the selection committee 3 months before the incumbent David's office.
Right.
We wrote to the Kerala University to nominate their representative. Right. We wrote to UGC, and I appointed my nominee, who will be convener of the committee. Kerala University did not even acknowledge the letter of the Rajbhavan. Okay. At whose instance? You can go to Kerala University and you can know from people. It is not Vice Chancellor who takes the decisions there. It is a small-time lawyer who is a member of the syndicate who has been nominated. He will give instructions to the Vice Chancellor. Everybody knows in Kerala. Go to the Kerala. These Johnnies, they are running the university. Vice Chancellors are sitting there just as facade. What has happened to Kerala? I can't accept this situation. They did not acknowledge the letter of the Rajbhavan. Then they were reminded that by 5th of August you have to send the name necessarily. Then you will be surprised to know if I give you the full detail. They wrote back because they were given final thing.
Ultimatum.
They said they had not informed us. But now Vice Chancellor in his letter is saying, Mr. So-and-so, who is Vice Chairman of the Planning Commission, was nominated by us, but he has declined. And 4 days before this letter comes to the Raj Bhavan, 5 days before, the day I was leaving for Delhi, when I had given instruction to 5 or 6 days before, when I had given instruction to the secretary to remind the Vice Chancellor that if by 5th they do not send the name, we will constitute the committee. That day, the finance minister, I am naming him, finance minister comes to Raj Bhavan.
Sri K. N. Balagopal?
Finance minister, I don't remember exactly remember, with the request. He is a very nice person, he is a gentleman, and he very politely requested me, very politely. He was not exceeding, I am not complaining against him. He is a very nice person, thorough gentleman, and he very politely requested me that if I can consider for my nominee, if I can consider this man who is vice chairman of the planning commission, the man whom finance minister is proposing to me, I said, can you give me in writing? He was a bit reluctant. I told secretary to note down, because it is not necessary. If you have come to meet me and you are making a request, I told the secretary immediately record down that the finance minister has made this request and place it before me. When I am constituting the committee, I will definitely give it due consideration. So the man whose name finance minister gave to me or requested me very politely, he did not, this is nothing against him, he is a very nice person. The same name, Kerala, how much time it takes for the syndicate to meet? So it means he was only making a statement which was not true. Because suppose I had accepted that day itself what finance minister had suggested, then he would have become my nominee. And Kerala University is saying in their letter on 5th that we had decided to nominate him, but he has declined. What kind of politics you people are playing with me? And then I understood that what is the game. And that day itself, I constituted, if you are not sending your representative, if you do not send your representative, things will not come to a halt. So I said right on the file that as and when Kerala University finally decides to nominate somebody as their nominee, he can join then, but committee will be constituted today itself. If I had not done that, you think this is, then series of articles in papers, governor's powers are going to be curtailed. Governor's powers come by virtue of the provisions of the Constitution. The direction to the governor can come from Honorable President of India. Here they think they can direct the Raj Bhavan, they can control the Raj Bhavan. I appoint somebody on my staff and they make a secretary to write to the Raj Bhavan. Who is he to give me, who is the government to give me directions? What happened ultimately? They had to remove that officer.
He's back?
He is back only after that, because I knew even on that day, I just wanted to send a message. I knew even on that day, the officer was innocent.
Okay.
I knew very well that the officer had nothing to do with it. He was made to write. How can he refuse to write anything which political masters ask him? He's an administrative officer. So ultimately they came to me after 3 months that we are winding already. If you allow, we can again post him. I said, I have no ill will against the man.
No grudge?
No, absolutely no grudge. In fact, on the day I insisted that he will have to be removed, I had told the Chief Secretary, this man is innocent. Okay. I only want to send a message so that in future nobody crosses the Lakshman Rekha. Nobody in the state has a right to give any direction to me. It should be clear to one and all. My directions to me can come only from Honorable President of India. And my powers are defined by the Constitution. Who are they to curtail my powers? They are my government.
My government?
Yes.
That's how you address it all?
Yes.
Now, The Kerala University Senate has found time to meet and adopt a resolution condemning first the action of the Chancellor, the Governor, in constituting the Search and Selection Committee, and two, demanding that be withdrawn. Has it come
Let
to
me
you?
first decide with the major issues. I don't want to get into everything.
Right.
But if anybody deserved to be censured, it was the failure of this Kerala University to send a nominee in time. But this is what happens when you reduce the Vice Chancellor into a puppet and a small-time lawyer controls the university. This is what you can expect.
Now, what action can we expect against the Vice Chancellor of the Kannur University?
Whatever law provides. I have no personal agenda. But I was, although I had already stayed the appointment, but the case is so patent, open and shut case, that even High Court stayed the order.
Yeah.
And not only that, 3 months before, 4 months maybe, 3 months possibly, the Vice Chancellor, why I call this Vice Chancellor, that he has a criminal mindset, why I call him? He habitually breaks the law. He constituted, the provision of the Act is so clear. Vice Chancellor will nominate the members. And he misled the syndicate into exercising that power. Somebody aggrieved. I was not even aware. Somebody aggrieved, went to the High Court, and High Court set aside his order. He, 2019, why 2019 we discuss now, why I mentioned it. I mentioned it because Irfan Habib came, he started defending. He said, I said, this conspiracy was hatched. I did not even name him. And from Aligarh he is saying that the academics do not hatch conspiracies. Then academics assault the governor. You could see the video, run the video again. He not only charged towards me, he was sitting on this side. They flouted everything. Governor program, minute-to-minute program is issued. It is written there, no departure will be allowed. Irfan Habib was allotted 2 minutes. He spoke for more than 30 minutes. I was made to sit there for more than 1.5 hours listening to their speeches, which were highly critical, and all questions were being addressed to me. I had a moral duty. I did not object to that. I did not say you are departing from the approved program. But I had a moral duty to respond to the questions which they had raised. The moment I started speaking, within 3 minutes, Irfan Habib charged towards me. And because ADC came in between, so he torn down the shirt of ADC. It is on the video. Then when ADC did not let him come near me, he went behind the sofa, came from the left side, and then in the video you can see him grappling with the security staff who made him sit in his chair. So if you come to defend this Vice Chancellor, then it becomes clear that Vice Chancellor himself was party to that conspiracy, and he was used by these people to invite me to Kannur. Just one example. Irfan Habib repeatedly said why he had come to our Congress. This Vice Chancellor did not mention even once that he had invited me to come there. Then what I will conclude? Senior people, highly placed, a former secretary of the Education Ministry told me in Delhi that we are surprised what the intelligence in Kerala was doing. We were aware that they have made a plan to assault you. We knew it 3 days before the Congress started. So what shall I presume? I shall presume that he was party to the conspiracy. So that is why I'm saying that he is a habitual offender.
one does not expect the Honorable Governor to run to a police station and request the SHO to register an FIR. But Rajbhavan had not informed the state government.
It is not question of Rajbhavan, it is a this is what I am asking,
Yes.
this is my question.
We haven't seen any FIR.
I won't allow even anybody in Rajbhavan or my ADC to go to the police. It was for them to take in a state where people are arrested for writing Facebook posts. If you go to attend a public meeting, I do not want to name the person whose public meeting. But if in that public meeting you go wearing black shirt, you will be arrested. How many people have been arrested during last few months? That government does not take any notice of the although under section 124 of IPC, it is a cognizable offense. Any attempt to assault or overawe the governor, and only this section covers only the President of India and the governor. Yet, in fact, that was the first sign of the collapse of constitutional machinery. But because it involved me, therefore I did not pursue it. It is clearly in criminal matters, there is no time limit. Keep it in mind. In civil matters, time limit is there. In criminal matters, there is no time limit. So you will arrest people who come wearing black shirts. They are not raising black flags. They just are wearing black shirt. You will arrest them. But when somebody, another example. About 2 months back, Aligarh Muslim University invited Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to address the university community. Irfan Habib and his colleagues, they launched a ferocious campaign against it, against Vice Chancellor, against others. And Narendra Modi should not be allowed to address the university community. He had as strong views on that issue as he had on where he felt that I'm saying things which are inconvenient to them. Why in Aligarh he did not try to assault anybody, try to physically, why he did not do that? Because he knew that in UP, it is not Pinarayi Vijayan who is Chief Minister. It is Mr. Yogi Adityanath who is the Chief Minister. And if he does any physical violence, what will be where he will land, he knew about it. In Kerala, he was absolutely comfortable. In fact, I don't want to name a very senior functionary of the Kerala government here told me, because he said in confidence, therefore I don't want to name. He said, I went in Kannur, after the incident, I went to Irfan Habib Sahab, and I said, okay, for an academic like you, it does not behove. Then he says, he shouted it. Since how long you know Arif Mohammad Khan? Since he has become governor of your state? I know him since he was a student. And people try to spread this calumny. He was my teacher. He was never my teacher. In fact, during 6 years when I was in Aligarh, he must have had at least 10 police cases. Because he used to be leader of the 4th class employees. So every month they will ghiraw either this person or that person, and then there was some physical scuffle. And he was, during my time, the year I was, I think, secretary, he had major showdown outside the proctor office in which he was injured.
Okay.
Under the garb of academic, he is always doing these criminal activities. There is nothing new about it. So this high functionary of the government of Kerala, he told me in this room, he said, he shouted at me, since how long you know? Since he has become governor of your state. I know him since he was a student. if I had allowed him to speak, many of our own people would have changed their opinion.
Now, you've called him a person with a criminal mind, yet you signed the order appointing him as VC for another term.
I have already said and repeatedly said that after I appointed 2 vice chancellors before Kannur, I did not take into consideration the recommendation either of the government or of any political party. Everybody is aware. Kerala University of Health Sciences and Calicut University. So when they realized that I am going to exercise my own discretion, my own judgment, then Chief Minister personally came to Rajbhavan. And they had also seen that if on one issue I had differed with them, on the issue of COVID management, I had praised them. I was going on merit. He personally came. And he made a point which I found quite reasonable. He said, Kannur is my home district. If you can give weightage to my opinion, I agreed. But after this, I agreed, I gave my word that I will give weightage. You are head of the government, democratically elected. Your opinion must find weightage. Particularly, other places I will go strictly by my judgment. But in the case of Kannur, I will give weightage to your opinion. I agree. But what I had in my mind when I gave my word, what I had in mind is that we had, after the process selection is over, 3 names will come to me, and then I will discuss it with the Chief Minister and give weightage to his opinion. Because 2 days before I had already constituted the selection committee. Already selection committee, not 2 days, possibly a week before. It was after the constitution of selection committee that he came to me. And I found his argument reasonable. Because some accommodation, you can't be very harsh and hard. So some weightage, I agreed. I said, and I gave my word, that I will give weightage to your opinion. Now what happened, 3 days later, call comes from CM office that my legal advisor is coming to see you. He had already named 2 officers which I do not want to name. He said that if I have to convey any message, they will come to you. If you have to convey anything to me, then they can be contacted in my office so that I come to know about it immediately. Accompanied by these officers, this legal advisor comes to me. And he says that, sir, you have already agreed to accommodate the Chief Minister in this matter, so why go through the selection process?
Okay.
Under the provision of the Act of the University, this man can be reappointed. Why take so much time then? I said no. This continued for about a week. I said no, this is not right. We must go through the process. When finally 3 names come, then I have promised that I will give weightage to the opinion of the Chief Minister. Then they produced a paper saying, but Advocate General is saying that you can do it. I said, where is the signature of the advocate? That was possibly was my mistake. Instead of saying that who is Advocate General to give me opinion without my asking him to give the opinion, I said, where is the signature of the? No, signature is not there. I said, then why I should accept that this is the opinion of the Advocate General? 2 hours later, phone came. We want to come again. They again came. And they came with the signature of the Advocate General. Now I was in a fix. Because I had asked them, I said, why should I consider it as Advocate General's opinion? Signature is not there. They produced. If you recall, Chief Minister made a statement that Advocate General had, this has been at the advice of the Advocate General. The Advocate General had to clarify the situation the same day or the next day, that I had not sent any opinion to the Raj Bhavan. I was asked to give my opinion by the Education Ministry. So unfortunately, they are, without knowing the legal nitty-gritty, statements are made. The Advocate General contradicted the Chief Minister. But I thought that problem with me at that point of time was that I had given my word to Chief Minister. I knew I am doing something wrong. And that was on that day itself, that here I will honor the word which I had given to the Chief Minister, but no more I shall function as Chancellor. And I wrote letter to him next day, please you assume the role of the Vice Chancellor. Even if you bring an ordinance, I will sign it immediately. But I don't want to continue in this atmosphere where I had promised to give weightage to your opinion. But I was, if the opinion of the Advocate General was not handed over to me, I would have still insisted that let us go through the procedure. But if the highest legal officer of the state is saying no, his procedure can be scuttled, then I will have to start another legal war with, which I wanted to avoid.
Okay. Now, there are indications from your staff that you're running out of time, but 2-3 quick questions.
Okay.
One, will you sign the university amendments bill?
I will not reply to any question which is based on speculation. I believe that Assembly has every right to pass, to adopt any measure. They have a right. I have an obligation to scrutinize everything on the basis of what oath I have taken, and that is Constitution, law and its spirit. And just to give you an inkling, because I have read only in the newspapers, but then that copy I have also seen. They are, in this bill it is proposed to make the Higher Education Council chairman as the permanent member of every selection committee, and to be convener. And governor nominee, if this bill becomes law, then governor nominee will not be convener of any selection committee. It will be chairman, Higher Education Council. The UGC regulation clearly says that no member of the selection, no person can be member of selection committee if he has anything to do with the university or any college under it. The chairman of the Higher Education Council is there only to have regular interaction with the universities and the colleges. Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court in its ruling has said universities are bound by the UGC regulations.
Right.
So all these contradictions I will have to take into consideration when this thing comes to me.
Right.
And today I am not in a position to reply whether I will sign it or not.
One more bill is coming, the Lokayukta Amendment Bill, which effectively will make it a referral body. So your take on that?
Again, same reply.
Let it come to you.
Again, same reply. It will be scrutinized, it will be studied purely on constitutional and legal, according to the constitutional and legal requirements. We have a system where the concept or the principle of judicial review we have accepted as a nation.
Right.
Even parliamentary laws,
right,
assembly laws are subject to judicial review. But Constitution has provided a mechanism in the case of states where peer review can be held by the governor.
Okay. Two questions on the national front. Sar Tan Se Juda is the new clarion call, which is coming from radical quarters, but surprisingly, some of the mainstream party leaders also seem to be endorsing that.
I think The point I made in the
Earlier.
beginning itself,
The
deals with
post-partition.
question. And when this question, when in some conference in Delhi, this matter came up, I said, the book is there. You can refer to it. There are, and this is after careful, diligent study, there are 26 verses in Quran which say, if somebody says something which is hurtful, then you remove yourself from this. Then you say peace to you and go away from it. Nowhere it is written. But the fact is that when the Muslims were single superpower in the world, they were the empire, the laws in contravention of the provisions of the scripture were written, and in that it is provided. But what surprises me most is that these laws which were written during the period of empire, but it was claimed that this is the divine law. No Muslim countries now has those laws. They do not allow in their educational institutions this law to be taught. But in India, in Deoband, in Nadwa, most of the madrasas, these laws are still being taught. So what do you expect? For me, how I will look at it. Leave aside Islam, Hinduism, Sanatan tradition. Those who defend this caste system, which determines the status of a person on the basis of the birth, they totally ignore the verses of the Gita where the word which has been used is guna and karma. That is the basis of the classification. There are so many stories in the Upanishads wherein it has been said that even the term Brahmana, in Sanskrit, Bra means expansion. Man means mind and heart. After acquisition of knowledge, great tapasya, period of brahmacharya, when you acquire knowledge, you develop wisdom, then as a result of that, when your mind expands, then you are a Brahmin. You can be Brahmin, I can be Brahmin, anybody, according to that definition. Likewise, some people can find out of context some parts of the verses to justify violence. For me, there is a verse in the Quran which says, La tastavil hasanato sayya. Goodness and evil cannot be equal. Itfa billati hiya ahsan. When somebody does evil to you, repel that evil by doing goodness to him. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. And then you will see that this man who was doing evil to you, he becomes your bosom friend. For me, that is the guiding line. And I not only condemn this slogan, but I find those who refuse to speak publicly against it, that they are doing a great disservice, not only to the nation, but also to the community.
We've seen Mufti Muhammad Saeed contesting from Muzaffarnagar in the late 80s, I think. Now there is a big controversy in Kashmir saying that non-Kashmiris, the outsiders as they call it, cannot be given the right to vote. Doesn't this take...
Why do you talk of, why you just mention what Mufti says? So many Kashmiris have held so many senior positions in government of India. Everywhere, ministers, policy makers. This unfortunately, this mindset of exclusiveness, promotion of separation, somewhere they were encouraged over a period of time by political people who wielded power, who were really, who mattered in these matters. And they are not easily, they can't persuade themselves to give up this attitude easily. But with the passage of time, everybody will be reconciled. India is one, and India, God willing, has the capability to maintain its territorial integrity, its emotional unity, while preserving its diversity.
നിലപാടുകൾ ഉറച്ച് തന്നെയാണ് ഗവർണർ. വളരെ വ്യക്തമാണ് നിലപാടുകൾ. വാർത്തകൾ ഇനിയും ഉണ്ടാവും രാജ്ഭവനിൽ നിന്ന്. ആ ബില്ലുകൾ ഇങ്ങ് വരട്ടെ, നോക്കിയിട്ട് പറയാം എന്നാണ് നിലപാട്. Thank you so much for finding so much of time amidst your hectic schedule. Namaskaram.
Thank you. Namaskar.